Alrighty, I think you can figure out what kind of model we're going to talk about today if you didn't read the title. Here we are. So, I think this is from the second movie because it's got that boom that captures the electricity. But let's take a look. This is a new brand to me, MJ models, I guess. It's unlicensed. Totally unexpected. I had no idea they were coming out with this. I just ran across it, I think, on AliExpress or something. Maybe that's MJ. Michael Jackson, or Michael Jordan, or not. Let's get this thing open. So the Peterson Museum has these images. I guess maybe they actually have the car, or at one point did have the car in their collection. So this is the movie car. Although I can't really say for sure if this is the movie car from the second movie. No, this looks like the first movie, right? It doesn't have the white Mr. Fusion thing on the top, so I guess this is from the first movie. It's been a few years since I've seen the Back to the Future, but I have seen it many times. I just can't remember everything. Old. Supposedly 164. There's an actual mirror back here. Mirror thingamybobby. That's a new one. I haven't seen that before. And then the case has no tape. Well, let's just look at the photos here. So some tight details in the back. We got those red, whatever those are the red capacitors, it looks like, and you got 3 of them here. The big vent things, they look not necessarily black. They almost look like they're blued steel or something like that from heat, or gray and black. I do feel like these are not dark enough though. Right? They just look like they're silver on this model, or gunmetal. They should be darker, I think. The blue hose connector seems to be showing up there. This electrical conduit, I don't know if that's a fine mesh on the real car, but it looks like there's mesh on this model. And then the DeLorean in the bumper seems to be on this model. The taillights have some orange. There's an actual license plate on this, but it's not the same color. Oh, this has a digital license plate. I can't remember if that existed in the movie or not. Please, Back to the Future fans, you got to chime in on that one. This has 2 exhaust pipes coming out the back. I can't see in this angle. I don't know if there's exhaust pipes. Let's look down at this view here. I can't really see. I see 2 exhaust pipes coming out the back of this thing. Yeah, obviously the doors are open in that image. Some sort of box up on the roof, which I do see there. The multi-spoke wheels. They did a good enough job there, it looks like. Let's see this front view. You got the cabling coming up the side panels to a box, which is there. That conduit thing in the front. 3 black bars, and I do kind of see the 3 clamps there on the front of that. So that seems okay. Here's a rear full image with the doors down. Okay, not bad, not bad. Top view of this wacky thing. So there's a bit of an oversight. There's no yellow there in the middle of that reactor thing. Hoses. This big hose here is here, so that's good. You'll have to pause and check it out yourself. Here's a front view. Okay. The interior. We got the what the flux capacitor maybe? I forget. There's that computer thing there. Okay, and some sort of switches in the middle. We'll have to keep an eye out for that when we get to the interior. Oh, this is a good shot here. Let's see if the lines match up. Yeah, it's a pretty geometric body, you know. So I guess that seems okay. The door handle is below the black molding on the side, and it is on this model. You see where the lock is? Seems pretty good. I gotta say, it doesn't look bad. Not in the few seconds that I've had to compare. So we do have this shiny metal etched nameplate here, DMC 12, and I assume that must mean movie 1. These are actually limited. There's 1,000 of these, so you might want to hop online and get these things. Number 50. I got an early one. Okay, there are other cars. I just wanted to buy this one just to see if the initial quality was good. And right now, I gotta say, just looking at it, it looks pretty awesome. But you know me, I'm a nitpicky dude, and let's see if there's any flaws that are glaringly obvious. One thing I will say is this amount of spokes doesn't match the real car. The real car, I think, has 50 spokes, but you just can't jam 50 spokes into something that small. So this is the best they can do. I tried to do it myself, 3D printing some wheels before, and it's just not possible to make wheels that's with spokes, that many spokes that small. There is some black printing in the center, which is on the side photograph. It does have 4 lug nuts, which is realistic to the car. It's quite interesting. They actually printed Goodyear Eagle GTs on this thing. I can't really... Oh, that might actually be particular to this vehicle. Yeah, so I think that is. Boy, you know, I'm sure these all have names, what these components are, but I don't know what... I haven't researched it, so hopefully if you're a real diehard Back to the Future fan or DeLorean fan, you can kind of just put a comment in and teach all of us, you know, what these things are. I'm going to just call this a junction box, and yeah, I'm looking at the images. It does have 2 panels on it. That looks right. So obviously we have this black cabling and stuff like that, and some things clamping into the car. Going into a silver thing here, which I do see on the side photograph, and running up to this conduit system here. So that actually is realistic to the car. Now look at the stainless appearance of this body. This is a diecast, by the way, it's not a resin. And this might be one of the few cases where it makes sense to have a diecast, because you can actually scratch the metal like brushed stainless steel, right? It looks like brushed metal, which I believe the real DeLorean had. So I gotta say, that's very realistic looking. So this black side molding, I assume, is paint on the casting. Here we go. And it's sticking out, of course, and it's painted black, so that seems fine. The panel caps are actually pretty thin, pretty good. As you saw, the door lock there looks pretty good, and then the recess for the hand. That's nice. Okay, yeah, I gotta say, that looks pretty neat. It's got the little window and window detail, and this I can feel, and you can hear, that ridge. And it is painted black, so that's very nice. This black mirror is probably a separate piece of plastic, and it does have a really tiny sticker, I think. Okay, very good. Nice and realistic. So, the other thing questionable is, no, I'm looking at that front photo that does have a mesh here. The earlier photos, I thought it might just be a solid piece of aluminum, but I'm looking at the front photograph, and there is a mesh, and obviously this model has a mesh steel conduit system. So that's pretty realistic. Very nice. Some black painted clamps holding this thing on, and it's wrapping all the way under. Got a closer look at the tires. I suppose maybe the printing could be a little bit more inwards, and I really wish it didn't have side blocks on the tires visible here on the sides. You know, it's okay to have treads, but I don't really like the idea of showing the side blocks, because you don't see those on street tires, really. Okay, so that's a little bit of a deficiency. Not a deal breaker, just a deficiency. And then you saw me move that wheel, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. You can center it. That printing's a little bit off. Is that a decal? I think it's a decal. I think I just squished it in there. So be careful about picking around at this thing. And again, that's, I guess, a good enough job that they could do with the wheels there. I'm going to put a flashlight to the other side and see if light comes through those wheels openings. I can't tell at that angle. This one, yeah, it's probably blocked off. No matter, even if there's air passing, they're so small, you could never see a brake system back there. I don't know, would this car have drum brakes? I mean, it's from 1981, right? So maybe it has drum brakes in the rear. Oh, now we have a little reflector. I didn't even pick up on that. The front maybe is covered up. Alright, so those capacitors, or what I'm guessing are capacitors, there's some silver caps. No idea what those are. Some sort of, oh, a photo etched metal piece with some black paint in it. That's very nice. Boy, where to go, where to go? We're gonna wrap around to the back. So the DeLorean there, yeah, it's, I don't know what happened in the middle. If that's, what is that, glue? Why would there be glue there? It looks like some soft glue, but I'm going to leave it alone for now. So DE, I'm sure you could read this if there wasn't glue there. EAN, it's legible. So yeah, I do think maybe the real car has two exhaust pipes there that just maybe on the movie car they cut them off. So perhaps this MJ is thinking about just releasing a standard road car without all these doohickeys on it, just to have a standard DeLorean, and I think it'll probably look good. But the exhaust tips are kind of lame. There's no recess, you know, they're just painted black. I mean, other companies will do a better job with their plastic tailpipes. What is nice are these tiny little vent holes there, and I do see them on the rear photograph. And also there's two slots here. I don't know what the deal is with that, but obviously you can see it coming through there. It's probably realistic to the car, I can't say for sure. A couple other junction boxes here, just, yeah, I do see them on the photographs. I believe this area might be cabling, but hard to say. So I do question this license plate. Maybe it is from the second. No, it says 1 on the nameplate, so please someone explain that, if that was ever in the movie. I guess, you know, he went into the future and came back, right, Doc? So maybe he went into the future, and when he came back it had the futuristic license plate. Just deductive reasoning, but I don't know for sure. So the lights here, there's some blackout printing on the outside, but yeah, it's translucent orange and translucent red. As I mentioned, I do feel these should be painted a much darker color, these vents or whatever they are. I don't know why they would make such a simple mistake. It's really strange. Alright, let's just keep to the low section here. This side, you'll notice it's asymmetric from the other side. It's got 2 green bars instead of those red things. And then that conduit stuff here is rolling up, looks good. That all looks fine, that looks fine, that looks fine, that looks fine. Alright, very good. The front tires are sunken in quite a bit, possibly too much. Can I move it also? Centered a little better there. The tire is squished quite a bit, so maybe relieving some tension. Questionable if that's going to help. Usually it doesn't. Once the tire is crushed, I think it just stays that way. That might be too loose now. But you can see the tire is still way up in that fender. So that's actually not realistic, but I don't know of a better DeLorean this size, so gotta live with it. Got another junction box here, and still more of this stainless conduit coming around to the front. Okay, we got some nice headlights, clear lenses, some black paint separating the rectangles, or I feel a ledge. I don't know if that's molded into the clear, or I thought for a second it might be a piece of metal. But no, I think it is molded into clear paint on top of the clear stuff. But they have these light buckets back there, and they look like they have light bulbs in them. So that's nice. The DMC is nice and legible, and I think it's a shiny sticker. Looks good. Not much to see down here, I don't think, but I feel something down there. What is that? Oh, okay. There's a. Oh, is that a separate piece? I think so. I think it's a separate grill. This has a lot of qualities of a resin model, but logically they went with the metal body because they wanted to brush it. But I do think, you know, here, this is probably a plastic front end, and maybe it's glued into that die cast. Same with like this whole thing here, right? Alright, yeah, some issues with the casting, you know, probably thrown into a bin and got dented by another body or something like that. They do have these recesses I see in the real photograph. Wiper blades are separate metal pieces. They're not bent perpendicular, but this is not the price of a resin model, so I guess you gotta let that go. We're lucky to even have separate wiper blades in the first place. They could have been molded into this windscreen instead. Very fine grill details molded in there. So the door cuts up top are looking good. This blackout printing is pretty nice. And then let's get into this craziness. So you got doohickey there, like doohickey there, and you know, I don't know what these things are called. You gotta work with me here. It reminds me of like one of those slide reels, you know, from old slide projectors. But looking at the real photo, it's not. I have no idea what that would have come from. The top part's supposed to be like a fan, rotary fan thing. I don't know from where or what. So there is a black box here on the photos with a bunch of pipes running through it, so that seems realistic. This orange thing. Oh, I do see a glimpse of that in the photograph as well. And then this, yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like I see this thing there. It's hard to say. But I think, you know, they looked at reference photos. A lot of the stuff on this model is in the photograph, so that's good. Whoever designed this, good for you. Great job. And then this hook thing, I'm pretty sure in the movie is much more elaborate, but I'm sure these model makers wanted it to not break. So this is just a piece of metal, and hopefully it won't break. Although it does run, if you do push it down, you run the risk of breaking the actual plastic that it's sitting in, so be mindful of that. Yeah, okay. So outside-wise, I think the only glaringly weird issue is these just should have been painted black or gray. Otherwise, everything else looks really fantastic, I think. I mean, what do you guys think? I guess if you're a nitpicker, that stance there is too low in the front, but I think the back one's acceptable. And then the knobbies from the side maybe could be an issue. So let's see about the inside of this thing. So some wiring on the dash, 2 boxes. I can't tell from the images. Oh well, no, I can't really tell for sure what belongs up here. But we got a stick shift down there. We got a light gray interior, which is great, and that is what their car had, a light leather interior apparently. And sadly, because the windows are molded, it's going to be a little tough to see in here. Going to try out a new flashlight today with a low lumen count. Oh, and it's a great flashlight so far. Oh boy, but it's always difficult to hold, release the other hand, hit focus, and then try to look through a distorted window. Well, at least on the near side, you can see the dashboard. That looks realistic. All those gauges there, and the white on black. The steering wheel itself looks pretty realistic. There's air passing between the spokes. No airbag, of course, back in '81. The stick shift is black in the photographs. I gotta say the boot of the stick shift should be black also, and it's not on this model, if you want to be really nitpicky. In the center console there is some sort of box. Oh, yeah, hold on. Let's try it from the front view. Again. On the front of this box in the center console, you see that like Y-shaped handle? That is on the real car. So they got that detail down. Very neat. Does it have the flux capacitor display between the seats? That I do not see, sadly. It just looks black back there. That would have been so cool if they had like a white paint window or something. But I guess not. You can see the rear view mirror is 3-dimensional. It's not just like a thin piece of metal, so that's actually pretty good. And then getting to the, well, let's see, look at the driver's door. There's some vertical ribs there. Can't see in the images if that's realistic or not. I see no reason why it wouldn't be. There's an armrest. And then let's see from this side. Okay, there's 2 gauges and a square screen perhaps. Some cables. I can't tell if that stuff belongs in the car either. The Peterson doesn't have an image of this side of the interior. Okay, well, anyways, I think it looks pretty great. I'm really impressed with a lot of the pieces on this thing. The body itself looks like stainless steel, or brushed, and then you literally have all these metal pieces on this conduit, the grill. that bottom grill. Oh, looking in this gap, I think you can see some orange. Maybe those are the turn signals? Yeah, that's, what else would they be, right? But really, all these weird details back here, a lot of them correspond with the actual car at the Peterson. Alright, well I do have the Japanese Chara wheels. I guess it's the Hot Wheels made by Bandai or something like that. And up until this thing, these are probably the best renditions of the Back to the Future cars, but they're still Hot Wheels. So they have the exposed axles, and they're kind of blobby looking. You know, they're just crude in their details because they're making millions of them, pulling millions out of a mold. But they at least got the reactors or whatever this thing is back here. You know, there's the first movie one, and then the second has Mr. Fusion. They're not 1/64 scale, as you can hopefully see. They're a bit larger. They're kind of close. They're not, you know, really bad. I think they're pretty good for what they were. But obviously they've been superseded now. Okay. So if you're new to collecting 1/64-ish things, Hot Wheels really has a lockdown the entertainment industry. Here's their car from the Batman. Granted, I printed my own 3D wheels for this. Here's another Chara wheels of the 1989 Batman by Chara Wheels, Hot Wheels, Japanese Hot Wheels. Here is a Carlton, but it says B China, so I think that's by Bandai's, again, of the, boy, what was it called, the puppet show? Thunderbirds, the six-wheeler Rolls Royce that Lady Penelope, I think was her name, drove around. Fast and Furious Charger, I 3D printed my own wheels though, and then sadly it got all scratched up in the blister. And then good old 66 Batmobile. So this would be a logical choice, I think, for a premium brand to do, if not a resin company. I would love to have this in a resin, but I'd be happy if even this MJ brand took this on, because this is pretty good quality here, I think. But yeah, so you got a bunch of Hot Wheels there. If you like entertainment vehicles, they're not going to be all to the same scale or anything like that, but they're still small enough that they look like they can live in their own universe of whatever cartoony cars. I think this is a Johnny Lightning, yeah, so we have the Ghostbusters caddy there. And then one other Johnny Lightning is the Green Hornets car. Boy, what was it? Oh, it's an Imperial Crown, a 66 Imperial Crown. Let those go for a little more spinning. So lastly, we do have some premium brands. This is Kit, the Knight Rider car, but done by YM Model, which is historically a very good brand. It's just that this rear window, you can see, is popping up because they're trying to use this thin packaging plastic, but it's a crazy bent rear window. So this is a case where I think they should have molded the window. So yeah, it's a, oh, and also the door panels are in backwards. So whoever assembled these things had never sat in a car before, or was spiteful maybe. So I wouldn't recommend that thing. Even worse is this train wreck. Time Micro, the tumbler. I had to redesign the front wheels, and this entire back end I had to redesign because it looks absolutely nothing like the tumbler. The Hot Wheels looks more realistic to the movie car than this Time Micro garbage. So unless you intend to 3D design your own half of this vehicle, I would not recommend that thing as well. So is this another learning lesson to, or a warning to new collectors? Expensive models don't necessarily mean they're good. I would say these are not good. They're kind of a waste of money. So, but this one is not a train wreck. This is actually quite impressively good. Just some minor nitpicks. I guess if you're a real stickler for, you know, the matching the movie, just take some black paint or paint wash and darken those things in the back, and that'll get you really close to what the movie car looked like. The exhaust tips, though, that's a tougher one. I don't know if you want to clip those off and paint them black. I'm going to just leave it alone. I might actually darken those vents, though, because I have some black paint wash anyways. I'm going to look for the other models. There's a high probability I'm going to get the other ones by these guys, because this is definitely good enough for me. In a weird way, I almost feel like there's no need to have a resin version of this, because with the molded windows, I know they're not going to ever pop loose. Right? And with an exposed metal body like this, I don't think it's ever going to get paint rash. So this is one of the rare instances where maybe a die-cast body is actually better than a resin plastic one. See, I guess, as Biff Tannen would say, it's time to get out of here. No, make like a tree and get out of here. I haven't seen the movie in ages.